Alright guys, what is up? This is HexTcgPro cast number 174. We actually need to start like keeping track of them because I actually don't know what number we're on. Shaggy got a haircut. Yes, I did. I look good. You know it.
It's less Shaggy.
Yeah, much less Shaggy. I'm here with Mr. Dusty on my top left, and then Shawn above me, and then Charles to the right. We got like the alpha team right here because this is the first casting we had. We were supposed to have Tada, but he always finds a way to make sure he doesn't get it done. And again, he did it this time. So, congratulations, Tada. You failed us once again. So this episode we're going to talk about. There's been tons of cards that was revealed at DragonCon. Shaggy will have to become Shagless, or the artist formerly known as Shaggy. Sure, man. So we're going to be talking about DragonCon. All the cards that got spoiled there. There's like I think 10 or 12 or so cards that got spoiled there. So we're going to talk about those, what we think about them. Some of them are very low quality, so I apologize. However, I did not take the pictures, so it was not my fault. It was actually Dusty's fault. He was the photographer for Hex Picture Place. Also, we're going to be talking about all of the cool info that got released or spoiled about Alpha. So we got some cool stuff about that, which was going to be what Tada was talking about. But unfortunately, he is not here. Again, because he sucks. And then we have, these three guys, I'm sure will have some other stuff to talk about. Also, just like every other cast, we will take your guys' questions and comments and answer them as well as we can. So starting to the left of me, I guess, was with Dusty. Dusty, is there anything in particular you want to talk about before we get into these new cards?
No, new cards. That's what I like to say. So,
Awesome. Shawn?
Nothing in particular. I'd love to just jump into what's new.
Cool. Charles?
Nothing in particular. I did read a pretty good article by Travis Wu this week. It's more about like sportsmanship and stuff. So if we get to that, we get to it. But
Cool.
we'll focus on the cards for a while.
Sportsmanship, always a good thing to talk about. It's one of those things I guess you don't really think about too much in card games. Is or esports in general, sportsmanship. Most people suck at it.
True enough.
They are like, you beat me, noob. Got lucky. Cool. All right, so moving on to the new cards. We'll start with that two cards that they spoiled, I guess, last Friday. We'll start off. Let me actually get them pulled up here. Where are you? There we go. We'll start off with the Runic Monolith, which is blown up here, guys. Sorry. Which is the 2-drop. Pay 2, tap it to exhaust target troop. This artifact can't ready during your next ready step. Dusty, you want to start off with explanation here?
Sure. I mean, the short explanation is this card's probably not very good. So, if you're trying to figure it out, every other turn for, initial 4-mana investment and then 2 mana after that, you get to tap a guy. So you're going to tap a guy, and then he'll untap, your artifact won't, and then the following turn you can tap a guy. For a cost of 2 mana, probably not going to see play, but in even limited, certainly not constructed. But, if it was free, I'm still not even sure it would see play in limited. Again, we haven't seen the whole set, we haven't seen the dynamics, but just having a card, throwing a card down to do something every other turn, to me, is not going to cut it.
Sure. I know whenever they spoiled this card, they actually said that this card was kind of spoiled as a limited powerhouse, and actually, like the first thing you just said was it's bad and limited. Can you kind of explain maybe why it's not very good and limited? Why is it kind of not very powerful whenever they think it might be?
Well, it's the biggest reason. Number one, of course, it costs a card. So anytime you are using a card, that is a real cost. You are -1 cards in your hand. You want something that impacts the board, something like that. So like you're going to play this on turn 2, you're not going to want to use it on turn 3, because if you spend your turn 3 tapping a guy, then they just play a guy on turn 3, and then they're ahead another guy on board.
Sure.
So I could see maybe a really aggressive deck using this as kind of like a quasi removal spell. to get those last few points of damage in. But you're certainly not going to want this outside of the absolute hyper aggressive deck.
And
in my
this card's
opinion.
probably not better than just like another creature for the aggressive deck, right? Or like a removal spell, or
Right.
yeah,
Right.
Sure. All right. Well, Shawn, what do you think, man, about the Runic Monolith?
I'm not really a fan of it. Like, again, if it didn't say can't be ready, like, it would actually be useful. Like, it would look more just like a regular ice manipulator. You can actually like use it as a removal spell for their biggest creature, and then take on anything else that comes out that's even bigger.
Yeah.
But now you actually need 2 of them, and spend 4 mana a turn to actually do that effect. So it's not really that powerful.
Yeah, I agree. I guess one of my biggest problems with the card is that I think they might have over-nerfed it. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I think they were a little too cautious with the card. I don't see a problem having it just be 2 mana, tap it, tap a creature. And if that becomes too powerful, then just make it have like so many usages and then it gets destroyed or something. Like I think they could have balanced it a different way than every other turn you get the effect, because like Dusty said, you're kind of limited your card advantage that way. I mean, you're not really furthering your board state. You're not actually removing the creature. You're just kind of stalling a turn, and you're probably going to continue to get shit on the next turn. So that's what you're saying. I think it's a very awkward card. We'll say that. Charles, you're last up, buddy.
Yeah, I actually reviewed this last week on my inaugural show last week. I had a lot of people show up, this many of them. But anyways, so yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, you could put a creature out of commission for like maybe a turn, and then it's basically giving it like virtual phasing. And then if you're on the other side of that, depending on how the phases work, if I untap and then you respond before my first main phase and then tap my creature, if my creature has some sort of exhausted ability, I could respond by exhausting my creature anyways. And so yeah, it just seems pretty bad. I could see maybe it going in some sort of dwarfy deck that just needs tons and tons of artifacts, and we're going to be untapping it, or we'll be using it for some sort of cost of something else anyways.
Sure.
But that's about it. I mean, it'd be really difficult to use this well, and if anything, if you're going to use it at all, maybe a 1 or 2 of in that dwarfy deck where you need tons of artifacts.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing you brought up. Like, honestly, if it's going to ever see play in Constructed, it's probably going to be the dwarf deck. I mean, I guess it makes kind of sense there. It's not really doing a whole lot for you, but I see what you're saying. Also, you could use like the Dwarven Turbine or whatever, maybe to ready it, and maybe get some kind of cool usage out of it that way. Maybe
it costs 2 every time. I mean,
it definitely does. You're right.
I mean, it's just it could have been tap it and for free, and that would have been something, exhaust every other turn.
Yeah.
But the 2 costs, I think that just pushes it over the edge for me.
Yeah, Seventher says, have we seen any cards let us destroy exhausted troops? We haven't yet, but if there's a card that comes out like that, it will be this. Obviously, this will make this card, I guess, maybe better.
Limited, maybe.
Yeah, well, probably not limited because I guess it really depends on the rarity of the card that destroys. If it's like a mythic or something, you're not going to probably be able to get both of them. But
yeah, I mean, from as far as like things that come into play and destroy stuff that's tapped, usually that's like an uncommon variety. As far as like other card games, because again, it's another one of those things where like if something doesn't tap to attack, or you just don't tap, a lot of times to do certain actions. A lot of times creatures or your troops aren't tapping. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Jason, man, welcome back to the stream. Nice to see you, man. For any questions about Hex, I have the links to the actual official Cryptozoic website and our website on the bottom right of my page. So if you want to check that out and see all about Hex, it is a great game coming out. Alpha should be released this month, at the end of the month. So, okay, moving on to the next card, which is probably one of my most exciting cards I've seen spoiled in a little while, and that's the old Shards of Fate. This is a card that's pretty basic in card games. A resource that's actually, as close as we've got so far as a multi-resource card. We'll start with you, Dusty, to talk about it, and go across like we did last time.
Yeah, I mean, this card's obviously pretty amazing. The rarity, I like that. My understanding, that's the common rarity, the color. Still picking that up, but I like actually that they kept it at common. For those of you that play other games like Magic, getting a mana base is one of the more costly things that you can do in Magic. The fact that this is common, I mean, there's no doubt about this will probably go in just about every multi-color deck. I don't see any reason to really play it in a monocolor deck, but there might be something in the set that we haven't seen to this point. But I think it's an automatic 4 of in any multicolor deck. So
I agree. There's no downside to really playing this card. It's not like it does anything, that would be, I guess, hindering you if you play more than one card. Shawn, what do you think, bub?
Just echoing what Dustin said, I really love this card. Like, it actually makes 2-color decks viable, or making them more viable. You can actually just go search out any color you need at the time. The only deck that I could see not being in is in a multicolored aggro deck that actually wants to curve out. Like, you don't want a land come into play tapped. But that's a very rare case. Otherwise, it's going to be a really strong card, 4 of in any deck that's not monocolor, easily.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, the fact it comes in and comes in play tapped, could be a problem, I guess. I guess is a downside. But I think the upside obviously clearly outweighs the down. Charles, what do you think about the old Shards of Fate?
Like I said in the stream last week, I think it's a great card. It's going to make that my dream of playing the Ruby Diamond Humans a little bit more of a reality. So that's exciting for me. Obviously it's going to make the deck slower overall, but it's only 4 resources, so a lot of times you're going to be able to play it on, turn 3, or when it's advantageous for you, when you have a 2-drop in hand and you're dropping your 3rd resource anyways. Another thing too that's interesting when you're starting to read some of these resource cards is 1/1 is a typical resource. So it's going to come into play and it's going to add both a resource and it's going to recharge a resource every turn. If you see something that's 1/0, however, that's going to simply add more resources to your charge, but not give you a resource. Or no, wait, it's the other way around. Oh wait, it's temporary. If it's a 1/0, it's a temporary resource for the turn, and you'll lose it. You won't gain more charges forever. And then, like what we see right here, this is the 0/1 version. So it's basically like coming into play tapped, where you won't get the resource this turn, but next turn you'll get the resource.
Sure.
It's very interesting that we have to kind of adjust the way we're looking at these cards and resources in general for the Hex. And the nice thing again about resources in Hex is it gives us a lot more real estate when we're looking at the board to have cards that aren't just resources on the board, whereas other games, you get a lot of your screen real estate taken up by stuff that's just basically power cards.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about the card is that it's only a common, which I think maybe some people haven't talked about a whole lot. But normally we see dual cards or dual land cards coming in like rare, and so it becomes kind of difficult to get your play set. You have to buy them or trade for them, and they're obviously the most important card. You have to have the dual color lands if you want to play dual card decks. So it's really cool to see this pretty powerful land come in a common, which makes me think that Cryptozoic is going to hopefully make all their land drops be common, so it's actually easy to get. It's also going to be very interesting for draft as well, if we're going to have like those lands coming through at the common level. Do you guys have anything to say about that?
So that's the rarity symbol at the bottom that tells us that?
Yeah.
That white one?
Yeah, it's white, so it's
okay.
Common, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know the rarity symbols just yet. Yeah, I mean, that's like I was talking about in my stream last week again. I had someone that decided that they would want to play Magic the Gathering. They want to play a modern deck, and I said, well, here's the resources you need to get for it, and resources cost $40 for each resource, and so like just to get 4 of them, that's $160, and those aren't cards that kill your opponent. That's stuff that allows you to play cards.
Sure.
So that's just disheartening. That's always the first hurdle for a lot of people that want to play competitive cards at all. It's getting those dual resources or those resources that do multiple things.
What do you guys think about it about it coming in at the common level, Shawn and Dusty? You guys have any?
I mean, my thoughts are just that relative to other games tend to make good mana producers resources in the rare slot or the mythic or epic, whatever it is. I think this. Coming out in set 1, it's really not going to be a big deal because there's going to be so much set 1 opened. But where you'll see, it become really nice. Not only if they continue it, but 4 or 5 years down the road, when you start looking at different formats and things like that, when new players come into the game, they're not going to have to get 4 or 5 year old cards that are $40 a piece. They're going to be able to build a deck with a pretty good resource system and pick up the commons for maybe 50 cents, a couple bucks, something like that.
Now, what do you think about this card for draft? I know some people are talking about in the comments. What do you guys think about its power level in draft? Are you ever going to draft this for anything in particular?
My quick thoughts, not to take up all the airtime here, it's still going to be very good in draft, because typically you're going to want to play 2 colors, and as everybody knows who plays card games, if you can't cast your cards, you can't play the game.
Sure. So
it's going to fix. You probably not take it over like premium removal, but the fact that it works in any deck or bombs, but the fact that it works in any deck, I can see it being a very early pick in draft, and certainly played and sealed.
Cool. All right, so we'll move on to the next card. I think we've covered kind of the Shard of Fate. I'm just gonna go in alphabetical order. No order in general here. Again, sorry for how bad of quality these cards are. This is not our doing. This has nothing to do with us. This is just the website that has these cards actually have them at this bad of quality, so I apologize. Anyway, this is called Ancient Sentinel. It's an 8-drop, 2 white threshold. That is a steadfast. You pay 3 less to play this troop if you control no troops. When you play a troop, when you play a non-troop card, gain 1 health, and it is a 3/7. So we'll start with Dusty and just move across again. What do you think about this 8-drop 3/7?
And it's 3 less if you have no troops.
Mm-hmm. So it becomes a 5-drop 3/7, I guess, if you have no.
Yeah, this will, probably again see some limited play. It almost certainly will not see constructed play. A 5-drop 3/7 with steadfast, that's gaining 1 health. That's not where you want to be. Not what you want to be doing. Not powerful enough. At 5 mana, definitely not at 8 mana. So it's like one of those. All right, how are you playing this card and playing it for 5 mana? Well, you have no troops in play. That's bad on turn 5. So again, we haven't seen the whole set, so I hate to evaluate any card, outside of context. But in my opinion, it's not going to get it done.
Yeah, I kind of agree. One thing I think that's really cool about this card, I guess not cool, but one thing to think about maybe about this card is that I guess you could board wipe on turn 5 or 6 or whatever, and then play this card afterwards maybe. It might be some way you can try to take advantage of it. I still obviously don't like it in that situation, but it is some way. It's better than just not doing anything for the first 5 turns and then playing this card. I just can't see the value out of it. I also like that you gain 1 life from non-troop cards, so it's like further punishing you for playing, further in your board state. I don't know. I don't really see the what they're trying to do with the card. What the card is actually trying to do. Shawn, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm really not impressed at all. I don't even think I want to play this in limited. Really. It's a 3/7 for 8, or for 5 if you have no board presence at all.
Sure.
That is, again, not where you want to be at all unlimited. I'm just really not a huge fan of this card.
Charles, finish it up. Take us home.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on board with these guys. I don't like it very much. Given the cards we have available to us, it'd be nice if there was a board wipe in Diamond. Then this might be somewhat viable in some sort of Diamond Sapphire deck, control-y type deck. So it would be like you run 2 of these, and then you're playing your non-troop guards to get some health back. But I just don't see it right now with the current cards that we have out available to us. And there are much better things. I'd rather be playing a dragon or something that's really much more threatening than a 3/7. Maybe if it did something else, like gave all my opponents' creatures -2/-2, like Elshnorn or something like that. Or maybe if it, I don't know, if it had some evasion, like, something like that. But yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, sure. There actually is a board wipe in white, right? There's the one that you get to choose.
Oh, that one is 6.
Judgment.
Yeah, you get to choose a permanent that stays into play, right? And then destroy all the other ones or some shit.
It's your highest cost.
Yeah, highest cost. That's right.
Yeah, that's not a good board wipe. That's not a true board wipe.
I mean, and real quick, like, I don't know if anyone can pull the card up, but Phoenix Guard Area Knot, that's what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
If you have 5 mana. After a board wipe. So
much better.
It may be like your 22nd or 23rd card in limited, but this is another junk Timmy rare is what it is.
Yeah,
sure.
And I guess I've seen a lot of those, and like we'll go through these cards and we'll kind of talk about them. But a lot of these cards are like that. A lot of them are just not quite that impressive. Like they're okay, but they're like the Timmy, like you said, Timmy rares, the cards that there's going to be people that are like, this is the best card ever, but like in reality, they're just not very good. So actually, going into one card that's actually pretty decent is the Battle Beetle here. We'll talk about him. I'm not sure if you guys have seen him yet, but he's a 6-drop, 6/4 that has Soccerable Major and it has Crush. 2 green threshold, pay 3. This troop gets flight this turn.
So I guess starting with me again, I'll be completely honest, I don't know what a lot of the sockets at this point do, so I don't know what that provides. I know the card, just by looking at it in and of itself, it's probably going to be certainly good and limited. The fact that you can have a 6-drop, 6 power that can gain flight and, swing over stuff and finish a game. Adding a socket to it, that might bring it into constructed. Certainly limited, but again, this guy just linked 7 there, some of the sockets. So I'll take a look and then I'll pass it over to Shawn and wrap up maybe.
Okay. All right, Shawn, what do you think, bub?
I really like this card for limited. It's going to be amazing for that. But I think it'd be in constructed as well, like in a green ramp deck. I think you get this out on like turn 3, turn 4. It'll be really good. Something alongside your Deem you can like ramp into. And I think there is a gem that allows the creature to fight whenever it comes into play.
Yeah, there is.
And I think that'll be really good for this. How you just bring them down, especially if you get them down early, kill one of their 4 drops or 5 drops, and then start swinging over. Like, I really think it'd be a really good card for constructed play if you can ramp into it quickly.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the fact that you can, when it comes to play, fight some with that socket. There's also some other sockets that are pretty good with them, but me and Tanner were talking about this card when we saw it at, I forget where we were, but we saw it when we were talking about it, and he mentioned the fight socket as well, and like, it just gives the card even more value. You can play this out, come in, kill something, and then also get swing it through the next time for 6 damage. You can really get ahead pretty quickly with the card.
Definitely.
Yeah, sure. Charles, what's up? What do you think about the old Battle Beetle?
Ridiculous. This card is freaking awesome. I think it's a little less flavorful to give it flight and have it in wild, because typically, given other card games, wild doesn't typically have a lot of flying creatures. But other than that, I mean, I'm looking at the sockets right now. We can give it +1/+1 as a minor or cost -1. Those are the minors, but the big one is the first major. We can give it permanent +1/+1 whenever it exhausts. So not only can we give it evasion, so it's going to get through. As soon as it exhausts, it's going to be a 7/5 coming through, and then every turn it's just going to get worse. Something we can ramp up into in probably turn 4, I would say. It just seems pretty freaking awesome. Of course, you guys talked about the fighting too. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, another cool thing about this. About the fact that it's a socketed card is you have a lot more variety with it. You can do different things. It doesn't just do one static thing, which is pretty unique to Hex. Hex has the ability to play the same card differently in like 3 or 4 different decks. Like some person might go with if it comes into fight. Some person might take when this troop enters play, draw a card. There's somebody might take something that you gain life equal to its cost. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways you can play the card. But I personally think the fight way is probably the best way. I think that's
with the sockets, can you take different colors, or do they have to be wild? Can I use a blood socket in there?
You can use different colors.
I have to have the colors in my deck, right?
I'm actually not sure the complete limitations of the sockets, but I think you can use any color. I don't think you even have to have them in your deck, do you?
I'm pretty sure you do.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to have the threshold in play to get the socket to activate. So. Yeah. So that means, there's still, I'm looking through the list, there's a ton of other things you can do with it. Another thing is, I'm not sure exactly how we're going to be getting the gems. if you're gonna have
you
to
start with all the
craft them,
gems,
or
like you don't actually have to open them or get them anyway. You have the ability to use any gem with any card.
oh well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That was nice of them.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It would kind of be annoying if you were stuck.
So you're
with, like,
basically going to go only majors on majors, and then only minors on minors.
that's not
typically,
necessarily true. I mean, I'm sure you could use some minors on some of them and be okay. I mean, obviously, if it has a major slot, the major ones are better in some situations. But I wouldn't mind giving this like -1 cost and trying to wrap it out a turn early or something. I mean, there's some minor slots you could probably tweak with it and try to do something with it. Dusty, you have anything to say after you look at the sockets?
No, I mean, I'm kind of with Shawn. I think you definitely, looking at the your choices here, like you probably want to have this battle target troop when it comes into play, because it's probably going to kill one of their creatures on board when it battles. Your guy's not going to die in return, and you're going to, have a threat that they have to deal with, or they're going to take 6 a turn. So it's definitely going to be limited, awesome, and limited, and or draft and sealed, and probably even constructed. Now that I've looked at some of the sockets.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, like, even the blood gem with this isn't terrible. When this troop enters play, it deals damage to each opposing champion equal to its attack. I mean, it coming in for 6 and dealing 6 just when it first comes in is not...
It's a virtual sweep.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's okay. Like, it's obviously only champion, so it's not going to, affect creatures or anything. But,
oh, no, never mind. Champion. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, like, I could see all kinds of different combinations, which is such a cool thing about the gems. Like, it's such a neat thing to have in a card game. Like, you can tweak the card a little bit, and, who knows what we can come up with, so... Just because of that, it has variety, and it has, different ways we can option, so it makes the card better in my eyes. So. Alright, moving on to the next card, the Cosmic... I hate this card. Cosmic Transmogrifire. This card is one of my least favorite cards ever, but I'll read it to you guys. It's a 5-drop, 2 blue threshold, pay 3. It's a constant, so it's like an enchantment. Pay 3. Each artifact, constant, and troop transforms into a random artifact, constant, or troop with the same cost. So basically, what this says is, if Dusty is playing it, or I should say Shaggy is playing it, transform all your good stuff into really shitty stuff, and transform all your opponent's stuff into really good stuff. Also, it's a legendary, or epic, or whatever they call this, which is like even more annoying to me that they wasted a legendary slot on this card.
You could look at it that way.
Sure, we'll get to me in a bit, but we'll start with Dusty like we have been. Dusty, what do you think about Cosmic Random card?
Well, I mean, first, it's just a very cool example of a digital design on a card.
Sure.
So, I give it flavor points right out of the gate. I actually, again, I want to see the rest of the set. This tends to be in that Timmy space of cards that are pretty bad. But, let's say there's, we've seen that 2-drop card that makes 3 battle hoppers. Or 4 battle hoppers. Is it 3 or 4?
It's
3.
3. Transforming those into random troops, that may not be terrible. So if there's a card that makes 5, crap creatures that you can just transform into random, even a random will be better than, an 0-1. So I'm not going to say it's playable at this point, but I'm not going to say unplayable. Because if you have a lot of creatures, you're bound to get something random that's halfway decent. So.
Yeah. So, Shawn?
Well, first off, I'm actually going to be curious if there's going to be any more 5-drop constants, like, in the set. Or, like, you can just keep using this over and over again because there's nothing else it can become. Because it'll change itself.
That's true.
And for PvP constructed, this thing is horrible. But I will say that this is definitely a very flavorful card. And for, like, casual, like, kitchen top gameplay, I think it'd be really fun to just play and say, oh, let's see what I can do. I really think it'd be some great, like, oh, guess what happened last night at the kitchen table? I got this out of this, and I think it'd be great for, like, creating stories, like, casual games. It'll be great for that. PvP, stay away from it. Don't ever play it. It's terrible.
Sure. So,
unless they find some way to, like, break it, it's going to be unplayable.
Sure, I agree. I don't even see that many ways that you can break it because of the word that I hate the most in the card.
Random.
In any card game. Actually, in any game, like, I have played competitive games for a long time, and I cannot stand the word random. If a card or a unit or anything that is near me says random on it, I immediately just hate it more than anything on earth. Like, if I could somehow get this card and burn it, I would. Like, I cannot stand the word random. To me, it has no place in competitive play. Like, I do not like the fact I could play this card and get a bunch of cool shit and shit on you, or play this card and get shit on myself. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I hate
Wow,
cards that
buzzkill, man.
Hey, you guys can suck it.
Tell us how you really feel, Shaggy.
I hate it. I'm sorry. There's no reason to make a card that has random in it. Like, that's kind of my big problem with like with Hearthstone. Like, it makes no sense. Like, almost every card in that game is like random. Do this to hit 3 things for 1 damage at random. It's like, how about I hit anything I want for 1 damage? Like, why does it have to be random? That's not fun for anybody. Because you're either going to get blown out, or nothing's going to happen, or you're going to get destroyed. There's no like positive thing that can probably like. The odds are always against you that you're going to get shit on 10 times more often than something cool is going to happen.
All right, but I'll stop there for a second. I agree with you as the competitive side of me, but this card is going to appeal huge to the casual base of players. I mean,
sure,
just the amount of stories and bad beat stories that are going to come out of this. You're going to sit down if they have a Friday night tournament online, and some guy's going to transform his battle hopper into Argus, and you're just going to completely cry.
Dusty, no, but you can't do that because you only transform.
Oh,
for the same cost.
Okay. So like, actually, as of note, that can't happen. But the only other 2 constants, there's this card itself, and there's Trial of Fate. So this will either turn itself into Trial of Fate or another copy of itself. So
sure. Or you could just play Trial of Faith in your deck, and your deck's already better.
I can't wait for the bad beats.
I'm sure that I will be playing this game at some point in Alpha in a couple weeks, and like the first game I play, some kids will be like, Cosmic Transmorphic shit on you, Dusty, and I'll be like so mad, and, like just flip out. But like I just can't stand the word random. Like I don't see the point of it in a game. Like if you're trying to this is a card that I think should have been made for PvE. I feel like they should have made this card and put it in the PvE set and gave us a better legendary. Like,
well, a quick question would be, if you get rid of a token, do you just get a random token from something in set 1?
The tokens
I know they have.
Yeah,
I know that, but I mean, do you just get a random token because it's not
you get a random card because it's still a card.
Okay,
I would think.
Alright, so now I gotta make a Cosmic Transmogrifier Zental's Chosen deck and beat Shaggy with it.
I hate you all. I really do. I hate you guys. I don't know why I still talk to you. Tad left you guys a long time ago, and I'm still here.
I mean, it's just one of those cards that it's like you keep saying, Shaggy. It's going to be one of those things where like every time you play it, it doesn't work, and then you'll have that time when like you're doing pretty good, and then some random will come up and beat you with it, and you'll be like, that should not happen, and be very, very not happy about it for the rest of the day. On the other side, if there's become some sort of commander format, it'll be amazing for that. With 4 people playing against each other or 2-man teams, awesome card for that. But it should hopefully not be a card that's going to come out on top very often when we're playing competitive.
Sure. I mean, and I think it's why it should have just been a PvE card. I think it should have been take it, put in the PvE set, let people fight fucking dragons and slimes and shit with it, and give us an actual playable 5-drop, blue constant. Like, I just don't understand why. Because like most games, like Magic, for example, don't have that design space to be able to put a card like this in a set that only you can use with like Kitchen Top. Like, holy crap, I just made a bunch of O1s. Like, I turn all my good guys into O1s. That's what's going to happen every time. I guarantee, like, the chance of you turning something into a battle hopper is like 99%. Or like, and like, I just don't understand like why they just didn't put this in the PvE set. And like, sure, it's fun. I get it. It's a great time. I'm sure I'm going to play it and laugh and like have such a great jolly time. But like, it should be in a PvE set and not in my PvP set. That's all I'm going to say about freaking Cosmic Trans freaking randomness. Almost crashed the whole freaking stream there. Okay. So moving on to this Droos Unstoppable Walker. I think this thing looks like a big elephant, but it's probably because it's so blurry. It's another 5-drop card. Hopefully it does something because it doesn't say random in it. 5-drop, 8/8 with Crush. This troop must attack each turn if able. This troop must attack each turn if able. Really does that twice. While this troop is exhausted, it looks like pay 8, and you untap it. Is that what that says?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what it looks like it says. Again, I'm sorry on the quality, guys. I really apologize. This website we got these cards off weren't the best quality. So what do you think about this 5-drop 8/8 that has Crush, apparently?
So first of all, why does it say this troop must attack each turn of Fable twice?
I don't know.
I'm actually pretty sure that's a mistake. I'm almost positive that one of those is supposed to say this troop doesn't like ready.
That would make more sense. That would make more sense.
Yeah, that's most likely what it says.
Okay.
It says pay 8 health to untap. Oh, I bet you what it does is it can only attack once, and it has to attack, and then once it attacks, it actually never untaps unless you pay 8 health.
Yeah.
So
That's
Looks
probably
like an AT-AT, but not cool.
yeah, but not cool. Yeah. So okay.
this card probably. I mean, these cards have been fringe playable in other card games before. Very similar design. I think in an aggressive deck, it might see play as just an 8/8 beat where you don't. Obviously, you can only play this in a deck where you don't care about your life. Where you're going to kill your opponent before they kill you. So, I'm actually not really sure on this. This is probably the closest card to where I can't say playable or unplayable at this point. So
Sure,
I'll see what Shawn says.
I'm not sure. I could actually see it going into a dwarven deck that runs like turbines that actually just untap it for a mana instead of having to pay a life, and then you just have this 8/8 crush just crushing in every turn. But other than that, not really too big on it, unless you have a way to gain life. If it's actually in a life gain deck, it could actually be good too.
Yeah, that's what BO Mike was saying, is to use Dimid the champion and give it lifelink. That's definitely something cool that you could do with it.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll go ahead and do Charles real quick.
So it is Ball Lightning to me. It is Ball Lightning. It's got Trample or Crush in this game, and it's going to come through one turn, put some hurt on your opponent for 5, which, I mean, again, costs are like +1 compared to Magic in this game, so it doesn't seem horrible as a one-of maybe in some sort of red deck or Ruby deck. Probably, like Shawn was saying, a lot better for the dwarves. Maybe as a 2-of. Something that's going to end the game that they can untap over and over again. Yeah. But and I'd even play it in limited. I'd play a 1-of in limited.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think it's okay in limited. I think 5-drop 8/8, that's fine. I'd play that card. I think that what we are guessing that it does is that once it attacks, it doesn't untap unless you pay 8 life.
Is it 8 life, or you have to tap?
Yeah, it actually says, while this troop is exhausted, pay 8 life, pay 8 health, ready this troop. So what I'm thinking the second thing is supposed to say is that it doesn't untap after it attacks. So you pay it out, you attack, and then you have to pay 8 life to untap it to attack again, or whatever. So like Shawn was saying, with Dwarven Turbines and things like that, you can definitely get around with that and lifelink and things like that. You can get around it, and I think if you build the deck around it, properly, it can be very powerful. Even if you don't attack with it, even if you just use it as like a blocker or whatever, instead of attacking if you're running out of life or whatever, it's still very powerful. Yeah, it's an 8/8 for 5. I mean, I'm sure someone's going to find a way to make this at least playable. It's better than fucking Transmogrifire, I'll tell you that. Sure. Okay. So that's it for the old Unstoppable AT-AT Elephant card. Moving on to Grimskull Sorcerer, which is another card that we got to see that has a socket in it. So it's a 2-drop, 1 white threshold, 1/3 that has socketable minor. So we'll start with you, Shawn. I'm not sure if Dusty knows the gems, so we'll give him some time to look at the gems.
Yep.
That's actually what I was looking at as well.
All right, we are so prepared for these socketable guys.
You make him steadfast. You make him a 2/5. That's it. If you want to keep it in diamond.
Yeah, so if you're keeping it in diamond, I guess I'll start. If you're keeping it in diamond, you can give him steadfast, which I'm not a big fan of. Like a 2-drop 1/3 with steadfast, like whatever. Or you can give him, he costs 1 more and gets +1/+2. So I guess a 3-drop 2/5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's terrible. I'm not sure if it's obviously not playable in the constructed. I guess the Sapphire Miner isn't terrible. Giving him basically flash isn't the worst thing. You can make him use him as like a little removal spell maybe to try to block or something. I don't know. It seems kind of loose. Also, you can give him flight, which seems probably better. I don't know. I don't see too many things you can really do with this guy. He's just a 2-drop 1/3. I think there's just better 2-drops that you can just play.
Yeah.
I do like that he has the options of the sockets, but I'm not really a big fan of any of the sockets for him. But Shawn, what do you think, bub?
Yeah, I'm just looking at these sockets and nothing that really jumps out for me. Like the flight was probably the best one that I was looking at for him. But not really too impressed with him. I guess he's a decent white common, which white really does not have a lot of commons right now that are good to play. So it definitely will help out for limited for them. But other than that, I'm not really too impressed with it.
Yeah, actually, the blood socket isn't terrible. Like the +2/+0, you can't block. Like that might be okay.
3/3 vanilla.
Yeah, 3/3 for 2 might be okay. Like some kind of aggressive. But the problem
you got to
is
have
like,
that blood in play.
Well, that too. I mean, which is fine if you're playing an aggressive deck. There's a lot of aggressive cards in blood. There's not a lot of aggressive cards in white though, so it kind of confuses me.
I actually like him more like as a blocker for like early drops than anything else.
I agree.
Seems like a control blocker, of some sort. Give him that +1/+2. Make him a 2/5.
Sure. All right, Dusty. We'll finish up with you, man. What do you think about this Grimskull Sorcerer, weird-looking guy?
I mean, are we clear that you just need the other color in your deck, or do you need it in play?
In play, I believe.
You have to have it in play? Like, does it add to your threshold, kind of?
I would think that you have to have the threshold in play to activate the gem.
Okay,
so you at least need one threshold.
Okay, that makes sense.
So,
I mean, I'm reading it.
Given that, I mean, let's be, clear. He's probably not going to see constructed play.
No, for sure.
That's not what he's limited fodder. But I actually think, given some of these different combinations, and again, this is just one of the sweet things about digital card games. You'll see this card and you'll play, 100 limited games, and he might be, 5 different things throughout the course of those games.
There you go.
So, that's another thing that you always have to keep in mind. Like, I actually like the Sapphire, one of the minors, where the flight's, of course, good, but, you could play him any time. So if the format's more aggressive, I can see putting this guy into play, doing a block, and eating a 2/1 or, a 3/1 or something like that when your opponent attacks. And then, you mentioned the blood one, but if you're playing a blood diamond deck, a 3/3 that can't block for 2, that's pretty powerful.
No, for sure.
That's probably going to see some play, and the costing 3 for a 2/5, even if you're mono diamond. So, definitely some neat things you can do with them in limited. And again, it just adds a ton of depth to the deck building, in my opinion.
No, I agree. Even to be honest, even the Ruby socket, I look at it. That you pay 1 to give him +1/+0 isn't terrible. That's not there's some cool stuff you can give this guy. He definitely has the variety, the options to make him get some pretty cool effects. It's a pretty neat card. I don't think he'll see constructed play like we've all said. I think he's probably really good in draft, or at least pickable.
Yep.
If you don't first pick Thunderbird. All right, so moving on. I actually skipped the card, so we'll stop it. We'll do it now. Eternal Guardian. This card's kind of neat. Another legendary, by the way. Try to blow this up. 8-drop 5/5. It's an artifact troop. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and other troops you control.
I'll be quick. I mean, if limited formats are slow, so if you can get to 8 mana reliably in draft and sealed, and you're probably more likely to do that in sealed, he's probably going to be decent. I won't say great, but he's definitely not playable in constructed. I mean, he doesn't prevent damage to himself, and he doesn't prevent destroying him. So, just murder. So, again, I'll be quick, but possibly in limited, for those very slow, drawn-out games, something to kind of take over the board, but very bad in constructed.
Cool. Shawn?
Yeah, limited bomb, if you can actually get to 8 mana. Probably sealed is probably where this is going to be seeing a lot of play. Constructed, maybe in a dwarf deck, mono blue deck, just trying to draw the attention away from your own life total while you're setting up your board state. But that is the fringe chance of playing it in Constructed. I do not see this being played anywhere near Constructed if it's not in the like mono blue dwarf deck.
Sure. All right, Charles.
Yeah, like some guys are saying, he's a bomb for limited. Maybe I could see him being played in some sort of Sapphire blood control deck as maybe a 1 or a 2 of once you've got your board state. The only thing that's going to take care of him is murder or something that takes care of artifacts. I mean, our burn spells aren't really going to take care of 5 toughness. I mean, that's the biggest thing with a card like this. You're looking at it and you're saying, what are the chances that anyone in the format's going to be able to just take him out as soon as I play him?
I'll go from there. Actually, the card's actually pretty good. So far, we haven't seen too much removal that can really deal with them. Oh, there's like Murder. That's really it, right? I mean, I guess like Ruby Lance if you have like, you know, like 5 Sapphire, or like Terrible Transfer if you have more than 5 blood or whatever. But I think he's actually, if you play him, I think he'll actually survive quite a long time. There's not that much removal yet. I think that will probably change as we see more cards come out. I think he's going to get weaker and weaker the more removal that's in the game. But like Dusty said, you know, the slower the format is, I think the better this guy gets, even in Constructed. Also, I know we were kind of joking about like a Reanimator card. This card would be terrible to reanimate. You know, you reanimate him out. You know, the earlier the game, the less chance they're going to have ways to deal with them. And, you know, if you can, you know, 5 damage isn't anything to kind of laugh at. So, but the problem is, like I guess Dusty was saying, that he does not actually target himself. So it's going to be hard. He has no evasion either, so you can't like really attack with him too much because they just like double block him and kill him. And like there goes your 8-drop 5/5. So I think he definitely has his ups and downs. I think that this card is like a prime example of us not seeing all the cards in the set and knowing exactly how good he's going to be. But I do have a feeling he's going to be more on the loose side than the playable side. So moving on to High Tome Lord. I think this is such a Timmy card, and I'm really anxious to see what you guys think of this guy. But 6-drop, 2 blood threshold, 0/0. It says this troop gets +1/+1 for each card in all graveyards.
I mean, I will start, I guess. Gonna be a limited bomb for sure. You know, you play this guy on turn 6, he's reliably gonna be a 5/5, 6/6, and just continue to grow, which is kind of what you want for 6 mana. I mean, and then obviously, you know, the games where he's a 10/10 or something like that. It's kind of one of those, you know, build around me cards in Constructed. I mean, it's really going to be dependent on what else is, you know, how is there mill, is there viable ways to get your opponent to put cards in the graveyard or in your graveyard. I could see this guy, you know, even though it's cost 6, it comes into play, it doesn't impact the board, you know, it doesn't kill a guy, doesn't do anything like that. Potentially seeing play in Constructed depending on what else is going on with the rest of the set.
Yeah. I think the coolest thing about this card is when I first saw it, I was like, holy crap, this card seems really good to me. Like, he's really neat. I think he has potential to be huge. And then, like, I saw it with Tata, and Tata was like, you know, which is one of the reasons why I love playing card games with you guys, is because you guys always teach me something new every time I play. Tata goes, well, he doesn't have evasion. And, like, I thought about it, and I was like, well, that's true. Like, sure, this guy could be a 300, but, like, if he gets blocked by a Battle Hopper all day, like, it doesn't really do much for you. And I think that's going to be kind of the big problem with the card, is that he looks on paper like this huge, scary thing, and I'm afraid he's just going to be blocked by, you know, an 0/1 until you just kill him with a removal spell. So, Shawn?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the biggest problem with him. In Limited, there's not going to be as many ways to deal with him, so he'll just probably become an Abyss, because in Limited, there's just going to be tons of creatures going to the graveyard. So he's going to be huge when it comes down, and people are going to have to chump block him, like, each turn. In Constructed play, though, there's not going to be as many creatures dying, probably. Like, I don't know how many, like, creature-oriented decks are going to be. And also, there's going to be so many more ways to deal with him, either just, like, chump blocking him, or actually just killing him with a murder, or maybe even a burn if there's, like, not that many creatures in the play yet, or some other, like, damage-based removal spell. Or just, you know, like, Inner Conflict, and he just sits there and does nothing. So...
Very aggravating.
So, like, I see Constructed, there'll probably be too many ways to deal with him for the fact that he has like no way to like push through damage because he has no evasion at all. Limited though, he's probably just going to be the Abyss and make them sack a creature every turn until it starts killing them.
Yeah, because like this game does have like damage doesn't stay on this game like it does on WoW TCG or other games. So like this guy will actually eventually get out of reach. Like you actually just won't be able to kill him unless you have like murder and a couple other spells like not pacifism but interconflict. So I think that's a good thing to keep in mind. Like you said, is that in limited this guy is going to be just like powerhouse. But Charles.
Pretty much on par with these guys. Decent and limited, but he's probably not going to see a lot of constructed play. I personally played with a card like this in Magic, where I just played a lot of kill spells and stuff, and I just couldn't get ahead enough, and it just wasn't happening for me, and he just doesn't do enough. If he had Crush or some sort of evasion, or if there was a decent way to throw some equipment or something on him, I guess there's no equipment in this game right now, but something that makes him a little bit better for 6. I mean, 6 seems a little high. I think he should be costed about 5 for what he is.
Yeah, some people are pointing out...
Even this, because like in Magic, he was 4.
Sure. Yeah, well, some people are pointing out in the chat, and I kind of agree with a little bit, even though this is for sure not what I do, but they were saying that like in 2v2s or 3v3s, this card's obviously going to be a lot better. Maybe in like the raids, whenever we're like, there's like 2 or 3 people playing against like a raid boss, obviously this card could be a lot better. You know what I mean? If there's like 4 or 5 graveyards to calculate up, he's probably going to be this crazy, insane creature. But for PvP, I don't see him being the greatest card. But I do see you losing this card every once in a while. Like sometimes someone would just like windmill slam this on like turn 9 or whatever, and you're not going to have the kill spell and he'll just like kill you. You know what I mean? I can see that happening, but not very consistently.
Sure. Yeah, they're going to come under you.
Sure. Alright, so this card, another black card. This says Incantation of Fear, 2-drop, 1 blood threshold, constant. When a card enters an opposing graveyard from anywhere, add an incarnation counter to this constant. Then, if there are 5 or more incarnation counters on this constant, transform it into Nightmare. Nightmare reads, let me get him popped up here. Where are you, Nightmare? There you are. Not to block out everyone's face when I read these cards. Okay, so Nightmare says, at the start of your turn, look at the top card of each opposing champion's deck. You may bury each of those cards, and he is a 6/4. So Dusty, what do you think about this?
This is going to be one that you're going to have to really take within context of the format. So if there are cards that are playable, that mill, that put cards into the graveyard and are good cards on their own, so you're not just playing these bad cards that mill, I could see this potentially seeing play. I mean, Nightmare is not really powerful enough to go through the process, because realistically, if you play this, because it only counts your opponent's graveyard, right? 5 cards into your opponent's graveyard.
Yeah, let me read it again. Kind of took it off so we can see you talking. Where are you? Incarnation of Fear, Incantation, whatever the hell. Okay, so when a card enters an opposing graveyard from anywhere, add an incarnation counter. So yeah, and it has to have 5 of them.
Yeah, so realistically, if you're just playing a game of Hex and you're trading creatures back and forth and maybe pump spells, if you hit this right on turn 2, which that's always the problem with constants like this, is if you draw it on turn 10, it's completely horrible. It's the worst top deck you can ever have. But if you draw it on turn 2, you're still probably looking at turn 4 to 6, 7 before you actually get a payoff from it. So you can't be dead by then, or so far behind to where a 6/4 doesn't matter. So my vote's going to be not playable any format.
Well, I mean, and I think that's a good way you just said that. I mean, it is going to be a 6/4, and like a 6/4 isn't that great. It doesn't have any evasion. It doesn't really do anything. I feel like they're just going to block and kill it, and then you just wasted like a bunch of your time. Shawn, what do you think about the Nightmare?
I don't know. Nightmare itself, I really like as a creature.
The 3-drop 6/4.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't care about the 6-4 part. I care about the fact that you can look at the top card of their deck and bury it if you want. Like, you're actually going to be able to protect your creature, like, take
Sure.
away whatever good cards they have, or leave a resource on top. Like, you can actually
Yeah.
just Fate Seal them.
Yep.
That is the biggest thing about the card. I don't care the stats. Like, you get to Fate Seal them every turn for free.
Yeah.
Now, the actual Incantation of Fear and getting to it, I don't think it's like worth trying to play the card and getting the 5 counters on it. Although, killing creatures, like, the card going to the graveyard from anywhere. So, mill, killing a creature, them casting spell, anything will trigger it. But I don't see it being consistent enough to actually get this down and actually get it into play in a relevant amount of time.
I love you guys are saying that you can cosmic transmorph cards into nightmares. Like, I hate you all so much for freaking that up. Against Shaggy too. Thank you so much. I swear to God, if you guys like transmog like 4 3-drops into like nightmares, I'm gonna lose my shit. All right, Charles. What do you think about Nightmare Man?
I couldn't agree with Shawn more. This is going to be one of those things where it's like turn 2, you're going to cast the constant, and instead of casting a creature or killing a creature, and then your opponent's going to bash you in the face, and then hopefully you'll be able to try to stabilize over the next coming turns as you're trying to get that thing up. And again, we haven't seen. Still don't think we've seen anything that removes constants from play yet, or permanents, or anything like that. So once it's in play if it wasn't countered, but it's going to put you behind the ball quite a bit. And even though you're going to be able to Fate Seal and it'll block nicely for you, and in the later turns, I think the card advantage you're giving up in the meantime, yeah, it's not good enough.
Sure, I think a Void Key is what we've seen that can kill anything, right?
Void Key can?
Yeah, Void Key can exile anything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Chaos Key.
Yeah, Chaos Key. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. I had the right idea.
And of course, Argus too can just void it as well.
So someone in the chat.
If they cast Argus, you basically should be dead.
Yeah, Yingzhu says Chronic Madness for an early nightmare? Question mark. What do you guys think about that?
So that would put you in
probably
Sapphire
not.
and
Well, now you're playing Chronic Madness, and that is another problem.
right.
I mean, the problem with that is it sounds, interesting in theory, but like if you just draw Chronic Madness, which will happen a good chunk of the time, you're just, you might as well have just like discard a card. Just start the game and discard a card. You have to be able to play Nightmare or the Incantation or whatever it is. Play that and play cards that are good on their own, and that's just part of a value, not like build your deck around that, because the card does not do anything, Chronic Madness, in and of itself. And
if it was like
you
a
don't want to be
Hedron
playing it.
crab, something like that, the 0/2, you play a resource and then they discard 2 cards. I mean, that's at least a blocker.
Yeah,
I think something.
I think it's a comic mistake that some people, that newer players make with card games, is that when they're building their deck, they like, well, if I have this card and then I buff it with this card and this card and this card and this card, I can one-shot you. And like what actually ends up happening is you have just a bunch of the things that pump and not the actual creature that kills, and then so you just have a bunch of cards in your hand you can't do anything with. And I think people they try to build maybe too many. If I have this card, then this card is good, instead of just having a bunch of cards that are good that work well together.
Right.
Which I think is really important. Okay, moving on to the next card. Where is he at? Is it Infernal Professor, which is another blood card. 1-drop. This card is actually awesome. I think I'm gonna go ahead and say it's awesome because it has the word draw card in it. 1-drop, 1 blood threshold, Infernal Professor. Reveal the top card of your deck. You may put that card into your hand or void it. If you void it, draw a card, and that card gets permanent cost -1. Then lose health equal to that card's cost. Dusty, what do you think? Oh, it's also a sorcery.
Well, this is definitely something we have never, so again, if you go back and read one of my first articles on card evaluation, one of the first things you always want to do is compare it to other similar like cards. And we've seen things, obviously that reveal cards and draw cards, but never something that reduces cost and makes you lose health equal to that card's cost. I'm going to go ahead and say this is probably, the boom or bust series. This is probably a bust in both limited and constructed, because the fact that you're reducing the cost by 1 probably is not going to make up for the fact that you're getting, of course, a random card, and then you're losing health. This is going to be a very high variance card. The time that the guy randomly flips his 5-drop, he plays it the next turn, and it just takes over the game, versus the time, you flip a 2-drop, and you just reduce the cost of 50% from 2 to 1. Again, very hard to evaluate this card without just playing with it, and that's what I plan to do.
Shawn, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm not seeing this card at all. I'm not liking it. If it actually let you tutor, it would be so much better.
Sure.
But as it stands, it is a card in your deck, and all it does is let you draw a card or void a card and then draw a card. Cost -1, but then you lose health equal to its cost. It is not really that high impact, and it's never a card you're going to want to really draw, after your opening 7.
Okay. Yeah. Shawn? I'm sorry, Charles?
The other Shawn. I'll be Shawn this week. All right. I don't mind it. I think I can play it maybe as a 2-of in a control shell of some sort. Unfortunately, it's not as good as Ponder or something like that, where it is that I can get actually look at some cards and get some control over my deck. But if it's helping me dig, if I want to reduce my deck size, it does that for me. It's not amazing. If I'm short on 1-drops for my control shell, yeah, I could 2-of it, but I don't think I would go above that.
Cool. I love the card. You guys can all suck it.
Hey,
it lets
I like the card.
It lets me. You hate it. It lets me draw.
I
a
like
card.
it.
You don't like it the way I do, Charles. You can't love it the way I can.
That's true. That's true.
I can give it.
Love like you can.
I love it because it draws you a card. And that's awesome to me. I will play any card. It could be a 30-drop. You go down to 1 life, but you draw 2 cards, and I will try to play that card. I love drawing cards. I think it's the coolest thing you can do. While this card isn't necessarily card advantage at all, it's just replacing this card with another card, which obviously makes it worse than, say, a card that draw 2 or something. I think that it has potential to see play in some sort of control deck. Obviously, black is set up to actually be a control color. I really hate how everyone's saying play blue and then you can be a control deck, when I don't think blue is at all a control deck in this game. But I do think black is set up to be a control deck, and this is a nice card to have if you really need that extinction or you really need that murder. You're going to die next turn. It's nice to have the ability to maybe go through 2 cards and try to get it at the last second. Yeah, exactly. Dig a little bit, see what you can come up with. I like it. I think actually Charles is actually right. Maybe you're obviously not going to run 4-of. Maybe 2-of would be a good number to start with. But I do love I actually like the card a lot.
It could also end up killing you.
Yeah, sure.
In that situation, it's kind of like I'm trying to, I'm in a situation where I'm at 4 life and I need to dig for the sweep, but if I dig for the sweep, it kills me anyways.
Well, sure.
If I actually drew it.
Yeah, you're right. It has it unless you just get off the first card.
Sure. Well, no, even off the first card, the 5-point sweep turns into. Oh wait, you're right. Yeah, never mind.
It just draws you a card.
Right.
I think it has some potential. I actually don't mind the card. I think it's really cool. It's one of the only I guess scry type cards we've seen so far. It's definitely much better than Peak, which is what I would compare it to. But I can shit my hand. That's better than Peak. So.
Yeah, it's much better than Peak.
All right, so moving on to Lore Goyle here. The old 4-drop, diamond, 1 diamond threshold, 05. It says it has flight, defense, pay 3 mana, shuffle target card in a graveyard into its owner's deck.
That's what I was just about to ask. If we had seen anything that shuffles cards in.
There you go.
Compared to with the last card that we just looked at, I could see if you're going to have 4 of certain things, you could shuffle those back in, and this actually lets you select them. I really like that. Sorry to jump on you, Dusty.
No, it's just
your turn.
Dig into Transmog, you motherfucker. Dusty, what do you think about Lore?
Well, absolutely unplayable and constructed.
Yeah.
And probably actually, this would be surprising, but maybe for some, actually probably not bad in limited, in sealed of draft. And the biggest reason, like, you're going to get to a point where if the game goes long, let's say you have 5-7 cards left in your deck, something like that. You're going to shuffle in your best card. You're going to have like a 20% chance to draw the best card in your deck every single turn when you do this. So, I can see this card in limited being very, very good for the ability to murder a guy. Oh, by the way, I'm putting murder back in my deck. I had one, but now I have, theoretically infinite. I actually like this card quite a bit in limited.
You do get a target with the spell too, like you said. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not like random, surprisingly. Shawn?
Oh, and he's a good blocker, in limited too.
Sure, yeah.
So.
And 05 is very good. Also, you can actually give him a couple of damage with like the what's it called, the blue concept, whatever the hell it's called. I don't know what's called, air supremacy maybe.
Air supremacy, yeah.
There's actually an ability maybe to
Makes
get
him
that,
a 1/6.
Get him and like the seagulls and just start like have this like unkillable
flock of seagulls.
Flock of seagulls and Lord Goyle.
Yeah, I mean, if it didn't have defensive and could actually attack, you'd probably do that, but...
Lord Goyle, the lord of the flock of seagulls.
Okay, wait a second. What do you mean if it had defensive and could attack? What does that have to do with anything about it? Like, it could block and kill something if it has power.
Oh, you could block an X1 and kill it with this. Yes, you had air superiority. You could do that.
Okay, sure. Which was...
I would rather play the fucking Transmogrifire than, like, try to play air superiority with a Lore Goyle. But...
Hey, it makes it a 1/6 defensive. First of all, it's your turn, not my turn. So you go ahead, and then I will tell you my assessment of the bad Goyle here.
All right. I definitely agree with the correct Dusty over here. This is definitely a great card in limited. Limited, especially draft, you'll probably have 1, maybe 2 bombs and like 2, 3, maybe 4 pieces of removal. If you can start recycling that into your deck, like, that is just so much value. Like, it will swing games by itself if you can actually start returning removal into your deck and drawing it again. And as an 05 with flight, you can block pretty much any creature that's not a bomb itself and just like keep people off you. So limited, it'll be amazing. Constructed, if there's a way to break it, like actually like remove your deck and then just start like drawing the same card over and over again, maybe like there's probably a combo somewhere with it you can probably build. We haven't seen it yet, I don't think, but other than that, no, it's going to be constructed at all, I don't think.
So I would actually, just before you go, real quick,
No,
I would play this
it's your turn, so good.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll take my turn then. I would actually play 2 of this in the sideboard, and I'm going to tell you why. I would play this in a control for the control mirror match. So that way I have more counters in my deck than my opponent towards the late game, which actually forces them to burn a counter on this guy. But other than that, I probably wouldn't play too many of them main boarded. I mean, maybe a 1 of main board just because of the late game. But, obviously limited, yeah, I can see the value here. But, yeah, that's. I mean, I do think he's somewhat viable in standard, or I guess in the constructed format, but that's pretty much it.
Okay, so here's my thing. This card has the word defensive on it, so it's trash to me. I hate the word defensive. I think it's so terrible, and in these card games, especially in constructed. But Shawn did bring up a point that I want to say. If there is a way to remove your deck out of play, this card's absurd. Sure, but right now there isn't, and I hate the word defensive. I think that it's just like, play a card, it does nothing. And sure, this card does do something, but I just don't like the word defensive. I like for my cards to always be able to do something. I like for them to be able to attack or block or do whatever
it's not a threat.
Fuck I want them to do. Yeah, and
it's not a threat by itself.
Sure, I think Shawn was under the impression I was trying to actually think this card was good with air superiority, which for no means do I think that it would be good with that. I would actually never ever play this card in my deck. No matter what, I'm talking about constructed. I would never play this card in my deck ever, because it has the word defensive. Someone could actually walk up to me and be like, "This is the card to play, bro. You have to play 2 Lore Goyles," and I'd be like, "Guess I lose because I'm not playing a fucking defensive card in my deck because it doesn't do anything except sit there and get shit on and maybe I can maybe I can return a removal to my deck and that would be good. That's great, but." let me tell you how I won't do that any other possible way that I possibly could than have an 05 fucking flying defense guy in my deck that just sits there and reads his little book as I'm getting fucking pooped on by more than one creature, and have this fucking guy doing nothing. So that's my assessment of crap Goyle.
He looks like he's pooping right now.
Does he look like he's pooping?
A little bit.
That's what. Yeah, that makes sense. He has like his little magazine. He's just like pooping while he's. All right, moving on to this fucking card, Mancubus. This guy. This card is just fucking so cool. All right, like, all Mancubus here, like the old four. The old 4-drop 2 ruby Avatar of Lust, by the way. I mean, I am turned on immediately when I see this. Basic, once per game, 4 mana, gain control of target opposing troop with power less than or equal to this troop's power. Dusty, other than just like the pure, just erotic feeling you get after seeing this guy, what else do you think about Mancubus?
Well, this is actually a woman, so...
It's not a man.
Read the flavor text, man.
Oh, here we go. I
Her
can barely read
avatar's
the actual text.
delight in turning mortals' reason into... And I can't read the last word. So it's a woman that...
No.
It looks like gullibility.
Okay, Dusty, I'm not sure how many women you've seen in your time, but like,
Hey,
I promise when they
that's
picture...
what a succubus does.
But this is a Mancubus.
Hey, first of all, the only thing I'll say
right.
is this is pretty classic Cryptozoic with, kind of a flavorful, joking card here. And the art is actually just the best. Like, this is the best art I've seen in the set so far. The card itself is actually going to be fairly powerful. I mean, like, in Limited, if you're playing this, you obviously can take any 2-power troop. So that's, and you're just going to take a guy, that's going to be good. But if you're playing him in a wild deck, you give +4/+4, you take a 6-power guy, something like that. And then Constructed, this will also probably see play again just because it's card advantage, it's value, and the ability to take one of your opponent's creatures and do it once per game is pretty good.
Sure. Shawn, what do you think about the old sexy bus here?
Well, I do like it a lot in Limited, being able to just steal creatures. Like, Limited revolves around like creature combat, and just taking one of their creatures and using them as your own is going to be very powerful and Limited. Constructed, I would really like to see more like low drop, low power like utility creatures, and the more of those that are actually made, I think the better this card gets. But like, it has maybe in a green-red like wild deck you can actually pump it up and steal something big. Not hugely excited for it in Constructed. It can definitely see play, but not really looking for it. I really don't want to play as in Constructed until I see some other cards worth stealing as a 2-drop or being able to pump it up easily and steal something big.
For sure. Go ahead, Charles. What do you think about the Mancubus here?
I'm also turned on by the Mancubus right now. So,
all right.
but
Well,
he's
keep
really
it
good
over
card.
him right now.
Well, it is what it is. That's pretty much my phrase. Anyways, so he's really good and Limited, just like the other two gentlemen are saying, and he's also good in Constructed, as I'd say about a 2 of in a Ruby deck, running some sort of a 22 or 23 curve as far as its resource curve. Just put him at the top of the range there. You get to him, and then in a situation where it's 3v3, suddenly that turns into a 4v2. Yeah, that's how the math works out. 4v2 situation, and hopefully you'll be able to push through those extra 2 or 3 points of damage.
Yeah, I want to say that Shade B real quick said that you could still Argus with it, and like you were right, you actually could still Argus because he was a 5 or whatever. So that's true. That's actually something that I never thought about. Shawn, what do you want to say?
Oh, I was going to say that the only way I think this card could be better is if it had defensive.
Okay, here's the thing. With this card, here's what I think would be cool.
For obvious reasons.
You could use Sapphire Aura, give it +1/+1 to flying, and then use air superiority with it. It's still 4-drops with it. No, this card. The thing I like about this card, to be honest with you, is why does it not have seriously though? Why does this card not have flying? Like he has wings. He clearly has wings.
Do you see the wing to body proportion, like the size?
Bro,
his body is like 3 times. It's like a penguin.
When you're that buff, it doesn't matter. Like his wings have to be like that. Like I feel like he can fly.
It matters because he's that buff. Like his wings cannot raise that much muscle into the air.
Since when are you guys like the man body to wing ratio like masters? Like how do you guys know?
Look how angry he is in that photo. He's so mad that he can't fly.
Like honeybees shouldn't be able to fly, but nobody told them that. You know.
I feel like he would just take off. He would soar over. The second thing about this card is I cannot understand how Dusty did not know it was a man.
You can also you get to keep the troop too. I mean, you keep that troop forever. It's not till the end of the turn.
Yeah, that was
that's
actually
pretty freaking awesome.
That was actually going to be something I was going to say, Charles. I'm glad you brought that up because, in all seriousness, you actually do get to keep the troop forever, and that's actually pretty good. Like that's something that's a pretty good effect. I think it's a cool card. I actually love like the Succubus lore or whatever. I think it's like a cool one of the cooler demons. So it's really funny to see them do a Mancubus. He is sexy. Also, if you guys do make a Shaggybus, I would love you guys forever. I will actually I'll put that in my comment thing or what my thing below. I'll actually make that something. I don't know what
I'm pretty sure you just have to cosplay as a Shaggybus at the next convention we all go to. That's
Charles, I'll tell you what, buddy. I like you a lot more thinking that's what I look like when I take my shirt off, but I'm gonna promise.
Haven't you seen like Strong Badge do the Aber 2000? You know, it's like it's a Sharpie marker. You know, just draw in the abs. You know,
Let me tell you how if this guy can't fly, then for sure Shaggybus is going to be grounded for a long time because that extra like 300 pounds of fat that I have is going to ground me for a while. All right, moving on to Nymph's Kiss, which is a very interesting card. I think another card that. I can't blow up correctly, but a card that in Magic I think would be very bad, but in Hex is going to be very interesting. So 7-drop, 2 Wild Threshold. Target troop gets +5/+5 and Spell Shield, which is basically hexproof. It can't be targeted by spells or abilities.
Both players or just one?
What? No, you target a troop and it gets +5.
No. I mean the Spell Shield. Is it both? Like if it's my troop, can I target it?
I think you can. I don't know. It's completely guess, but I feel like I'm right. Dusty, what do you think about?
Again, probably not going to see constructed play, but actually, I think will be fairly solid and limited as some type of finisher. I mean, the way I look at this is almost. It's not the same as, but pretty close to a 5/5 for 7 with haste, or whatever quickness or whatever they call that in this game.
Sure.
And then obviously it's not the exact same because you have to worry about them bouncing your creature that you target or in response to the spell. Using removal, anything like that. But once they're tapped out and you resolve this. If it's on like an evasion creature or something like that, it's almost the same as just having a 5/5 with haste for 7. And the fact that it gets Spell Shield will probably be interesting once we see the full set as well. So probably definitely going to be good and limited. Obviously it's a rare, so you're not going to see it too often, and probably for good reason because it would probably be a little too powerful to see all the time in limited.
Okay, I agree. Shawn, what do you think about Nymph's Kiss?
Basically the same ideas. Like constructed, I do not see it being played and constructed at all. Limited, I think it'll be really good. Well, but yeah, in constructed, 7 mana pump spell. Like I do not see that being ever played. It'd be very nice if you can actually resolve it and actually put that on a creature, but I don't see that actually happening. And limited, when stuff gets bogged down, this will be a great way to finish someone off. But other than that, just a limited. Probably just a limited bomb.
Okay. Charles, what do you think about Nymph's Kiss?
/ agree with the other two gentlemen. Yeah, I mean, I wish it was a quick action. That would have bumped it up a little bit. I think it could have costed maybe one less, but again, everything costs one more in this game right now. But it's going to be good and limited, and it's going to be not as good in constructed if it sees play at all.
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with you guys. I actually think it's really good, and I'm not going to say really good, but I think it's playable and constructed. It is, sure, it's 7, like, this is what I meant by when I say I think in Magic, this is fucking not playable at all. Like, 7-drop, +5/+5 spell show, like, who cares? But in this game, it's actually a permanent effect, so you're actually just, paying 7 mana to get a creature +5/+5 in hexproof. So if it does resolve, your guy's actually unkillable, like, you can't kill him with spot removal, and he has +5, health and attack. So I could see some decks maybe taking advantage of this card in some way. Probably, obviously, no more than like maybe a 1-of or something as a quick finisher. But I think green is actually fast enough and constructed so far that we could see some kind of Nymph's Kiss finisher or some way to take advantage of the card. I don't think it's as bad as it is in Magic. I think you actually might be able to see it in play somehow.
But Shaggy, I mean, like looking at this also, I mean, let's think about what other 7-drops you have. I mean, would you rather play this or Azumi, for instance?
I would play this because this doesn't.
You play this over Azumi.
Yeah, because this doesn't say give a random target troop +5/+5 in spell shield. It actually just gives it +5/+5 in spell shield. I know when I cast the spell, something's going to happen the way I want it to. Not like make it a battle hopper and then have my fucking transform Morgar turn it into a fucking 0/0 and just kill it or something. Like this is actually going to like do what I want it to do. I also think that Exumi is actually not that good. That's actually like not a very good comparison for me because I actually hate that card just because of the randomness of the card.
Right now,
it is a bad card.
Green Dragon costs just as much.
Sure, I mean Jadim costs 6, right? Like
yeah, so there you go. Yeah, the dragon versus
okay, perfect example. What if you play the dragon on turn 6 and then turn 7 play this on the dragon? He gets +7/+7 because this is a 7-cost spell. Plus he gets +5/+5. Plus he gets spell shield. Like that seems pretty good to me. Like I would be on board for that. But again, there's going to be times where you're going to have a land and this and no creatures and be like, well, this fucking sucks. So
right.
Like I can see the benefits of this card and I can see the downside of the card. But I wouldn't mind having one. I don't think it's a terrible card. I think in Magic it's god awful. Like there's no point in time you're going to spend 7 mana to pump a guy +5/+5.
Right.
And then he's just going to get chump blocked and then you're going.
You'll get killed in response and you're giving up a 2-for-1.
Sure. But let's say that it actually resolves, right? Which is pretty possible. Like there's because like we haven't seen the actual counterspell yet in the game. We've seen like bounce it back to your hand. Sure, we've never seen a way to actually get rid of it. So let's say that like you actually resolve this card, right? In Magic, they would just block it with their Battle Hopper, and then you're just like, okay, now it goes back down to whatever the hell it is, and nothing happens. But
right.
In this game, it stays +5/+5 for the whole game. So like they can't chump block it forever. Eventually it's gonna do something.
Right. It can be de-evolved, but other than that, but it can't be targeted. So yeah, it can't be
exactly.
de-evolved.
Like if this resolves, like your guy is +5/+5 for the rest of the game and can't be killed. So I think there's maybe a chance that it could see some play. I think it's definitely better than what you guys are giving it credit for, but I'm not like on board with it by any means. Like I'm not going to throw it in the fucking deck the first time I get an alpha. Like here's my mono red and Nymph's Kiss deck, but like I think
He's gonna have a 4-0. Don't let him lie to you.
Yeah. Fucking have 4 of these where I have one Azumi in my deck. I'll tell you that.
Take care of it, Master Fed.
All right, moving on to the last card.
Magic is counterspell
that we have to talk about. That's I think this is called Petrobot, but like I really can't read it. But it looks like it says Petrobot. Petrobot. Yeah. Flight. You pay 1 less to play this troop. Yeah, is it Terabot?
Like Pterodactyl.
Yeah, like a pterodactyl.
But is that not a fucking P at the start of it, or is that a T?
That's how you spell pterodactyl.
That's how you spell pterodactyl. Yeah.
You spell pterodactyl with a fucking P?
It's all right. It's all right. Community college, Shaggy, right?
No, listen, I could have went to Harvard, and I have no idea how to spell. I want to be the first one. But you spell pterodactyl, are you shitting me, with a P? Like, I'm pretty sure that was never brought up at any time during Jurassic Park that fucking pterodactyl has a P in it. But all right.
You just assumed you knew how to spell it.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Flight. You pay 1 less to play this troop for each artifact in or drawer. You can draw 7-drop 3/4 flyer. If only it had defense. What do you think, Dusty?
Oh my.
You're right. P is random. That's why I hate it. It's not
First of
supposed to be.
all, this card is probably. I mean, this is one of those that's actually going to be probably fairly poor and limited. It may or may not see play based off the number of cards. But it's actually going to be a lot better probably in constructed, where you can focus your deck in on dwarfs and artifacts. I know playing against John, playing the dwarf deck, there were times when he had out 5 or 6 artifacts with not much effort, and that's with a starter deck basically. Playing this guy for 1 or 2 cost as a 3/4/5, that's extremely powerful. So I'm actually going to give this guy the nod of being much better in constructed, where you can focus your deck around it, than limited.
Yeah, he's definitely a lot better with Technical Genius too, which is the 1-drop blue dwarf that's a 1/1 that says you pay 1 less to play artifacts. So you turn 1 you play him out, and all of a sudden this guy costs 5. You know what I mean? Like that's just on turn 1 you've cut his cost by 2. So I think you're right. I think obviously he's going to be better than more dwarves and artifacts you have in your deck. Shawn?
I do think it'll be a little bit better in constructed, but I think it will also be very playable and limited if you are able to easily draft a blue dwarven artifact deck. I think that will be pretty easy to do. I think that'll actually be something in limited. So I think he'll be a very good card in that limited deck. Outside of that, though, it'll be terrible. But I do think that deck is going to be a draftable deck. So I think this will be a great card for that. And it is a common, so you can have multiples of it.
Sure, you're right. I mean, the fact
and no one else is ever going to take it.
No.
You will be able to wheel these. You can take your blue. You can take your good artifacts, take your blue dwarves, and then this will wheel, and you'll get it 10th or 11th pick, and you'll actually have a viable thread inside your blue dwarven deck.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you said that, because I was actually just about to say that. There's no way someone's going to first pick old fucking Pterodactyl guy here, just be like, yep, got him. They're going to draft everything else but this.
You're going to wheel the Pterodactyl right there.
I guarantee that you'll wheel the Pterodactyl. Sure. Charles, what do you think about this guy?
I like him. Sure, he's affinity. Basically, he's going to be in there. Even in the limited format, he has evasion, so he's got the third part of bread for us. So that's nice. I like that. I'd like to see some more stuff with this type of an effect to make dwarves a little bit more powerful. But I don't know. I don't know if we need that much more. Maybe one more of these, something like this. But the flight's really nice. 3/4 flyer. The body's good. Of course, the cost is a little bit prohibitive if you're not going to play the dwarves and the artifacts. But other than that, seems pretty solid.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, he has evasion, so that's something. Like Dusty said, he has the potential to come out a lot earlier than turn 7. And like Shawn said, in draft, you're going to be able to probably build a pretty decent deck around him. Because, you're going to be able to get dwarves, I'd say pretty easy. I don't think dwarves are going to be the number 1 pick either. There's some of the dwarves that are pretty good. But there's other ones that you're going to be able to snatch up pretty easy. So I think if you do it right, you can probably make some sort of cool artifact deck, and this is probably going to be a big part of it. I don't see me playing the card. I mean, I just don't like this type of deck, but that's me, not because it's bad. I just don't like to play it. Plus, I have no idea how to spell it, apparently, and that confuses me and makes me feel vulnerable. So, sure. All right, so that's it, guys, for all the cards that we had to preview. That's all, I think, 12 or so of the cards that got previewed at DragonCon. So real quick, we're going to talk about the Alpha, all the details we got from the Alpha at DragonCon, and then probably say our goodbyes and see you guys next Thursday, where Tada will almost for surely not join us again. Who knows what will happen this time. So real quick, the cool thing they announced is that for sure the Alpha, will be released the last week of September. So that's for 100% sure when it will be released. The second thing is that we all, everyone in Alpha, gets 4 copies of every card. So that's something that's really cool. That's something Soulforge did, kinda, and it's very. I might be streaming after this. We'll see, and probably a little bit later after this, Jason. But I might be. Anyway, so we get 4 copies of every card. And then what they're going to do is every week they're going to add something new to the Alpha. So they might go by like 1 week they might add in like drafting, the next week they might add in trading, next week they might add in guilds or whatever. So they're going to add in stuff to the game each week that it goes by, which is really neat. And like the coolest thing that I've heard from all the spoilers is that when drafting does become available, it will be free to draft. So we will have free unlimited drafts for the whole lifetime of the alpha, and we will have every PvP card. So those are kind of the big things. What do you guys think about the spooling information of alpha?
My quick 2 cents. I mean, it's obviously really nice because it gives everybody a chance to explore all areas of the game. Really look in the nooks and crannies and make sure the game's really polished for full release. The one thing I always encourage people, and I was pleasantly surprised with the demo at Gen Con, it is still alpha, so you're going to get frustrated. The servers are going to be slow. You're not going to be able to draft. That's just part of alpha, so don't expect this game to be, or beta, whatever you want to call this. This isn't the full release. And as we saw with SoulForge, the game for about a week on the iPad was just about unplayable.
Sure.
But they continue to improve it in the process, so just have fun with it. I mean, it's going to be one of the few times you get every card and you get to do whatever you want, unless you're producer tier. So,
Shawn, what do you think about getting all the cards and being able to draft for free?
Definitely really excited to be able to actually just brew as much as I want through all alpha. But I will say that alpha is short for alpha testing. Like, this is definitely probably going to be buggy as hell. And they're actually trying to have people, have tons of people playing this and actually testing it, finding these bugs and getting them fixed for beta and release. So definitely do not think of this as an actual full release. That'd be a terrible way to look at this. But being able to draft unlimited time, as much as you want, it would be great practice for everyone. Anyone who's not drafted as much, and just getting to draft will be super fun. Being able to brew any deck you want will be great, and the fact that it's going to last actually for months now instead of just a week or two, I'm actually excited about that, because that actually means they care about fixing bugs more than pushing this game out.
Yeah.
Because when I heard that it was going to be September, we're going to have alpha, and it's going to be 2 weeks, and then we're going to go to beta, I was concerned that they're just going to push this out, and it's going to be buggy as crap whenever we actually get to release, and it's going to be unplayable like almost every other MMO. But it actually might take even longer because they have not really developed MMOs before.
Yeah, they actually said that they don't care to make alpha last a couple months. That's okay for them to make it last that long, which I think is, like you said, super. It was really frustrating me that they're you get an alpha and then a week later it's beta, and it's well, then you're just really letting us get into beta early. What I'm trying to say, alpha and beta are actually two different things in the development world. So I feel yeah, they really are. And I really always said before, it makes me mad that they're calling this alpha because it's not really alpha. But I think what they're giving us now is actually alpha. They're actually going to give us an incomplete version of the game and start adding to it. And then once all the features get in there and they get them the way they like them, then they're going to be okay, now it's beta. Now all the uncool kids get to play. And I think that's a really cool aspect that they're doing. The free drafts to me is amazing because I suck at drafting, so it's gonna be so cool just to be able to get in there and just grind them out nonstop, and be able to, have you guys help me and actually talk about hey, look at all the stuff that we can do now because we don't have to worry about spending $1 a draft or $7 a draft or how much it's gonna be, and then just sit there and grind out $100 worth of drafts or whatever, which is what a lot of other games did for their betas or whatever. Charles, what do you think of the alpha beta drafts, PvP cards?
It's going to be freaking awesome for everyone that's there. So I encourage everybody out there, start telling your friends this is going to be happening. Try to get some more people on board. I know it's $50 is a lot, but this is going to be an exciting time to get in there. Yes, there are going to be some bugs. We saw some even at the convention where we had things that died and they were supposed to produce piles of bones and they didn't, and we tried to life drain people and that didn't work necessarily because I didn't get my life. And stuff like that didn't work, but that's fine. We're all going to have fun. We're going to play it. There are some naysayers out there. I just got my Twitter last weekend, and there are some people, especially in the Magic world, where they're like, you know what, this game looks like a giant mess. So I think that it's up to us to basically get out there and tell your friends about it. Build up the community. Only we can do that. We're the people on the grassroots.
Yeah, sure. Just real quick, guys, let you guys know we're going to be done here in probably about 5 or 10 minutes. So if you guys have any questions to ask, right now is the time to ask questions, and we'll answer as many questions as we can. So please feel free to ask any question you want. Jason, I do want to answer your question from earlier. You asked, is it worth to get the Slacker Backer? It is for 100% sure worth getting Slacker Backer because you get into Alpha for sure for $50, which is like a price of just a video game. Also, with these details released, the fact you get all of your cards and get to draft for free, like unlimited, is a big bonus to getting Alpha. So me personally, I would for 100% recommend getting Alpha. If you haven't done it, please go over to the website. You can go there. If you go down to like my HexTcgPro thing, go to the Cryptozoic website. You can go and do the Slacker Backer from there. Also, I think it's also Jason, that's asking as well. Now I have Dusty in the channel with me. Dusty, can you talk a little bit about Soulforge and what do you think about that game?
If you're looking for a game with a ton of strategic depth that you can sit down and play for 6, 7, 8 hours, that's not Soulforge. I mean, in my opinion, I'm going to play both Soulforge. I kickstarted that game. I'm going to play Hex. I kickstarted that game. Soulforge is one of those games I log in. You go to the toilet, you have an iPad, you play a game or two, and you're done with it for the day. So the last 2-3 weeks, I've been playing 3 or 4 games. The game is a ton of fun. I mean, they really are the first card game really breaking into that digital space, what that means for games. There's a lot of depth. It truly is one of those games very easy to learn how to play. You play 1 card a turn if you're the first player, and then every turn after that you play 2 cards a turn. But to master the game is incredibly difficult. I would guarantee you, if you're brand new to Soulforge and you load up the computer normal, you're going to lose 50+% of the time. You're going to lose almost every time against computer hard. Then you'll learn how to beat them, and then you'll play against online and get smashed. But it's just a ton of fun. And I think right now you can get in. They call it a free-to-play game. It's not really free-to-play, like any other thing that says it's free-to-play. They have to make money. And the way they do that is booster packs, and the cards in the booster packs are better than what you get free. And I don't care who you talk to, you can get random daily rewards. I did get a premium pack the other day, which is like $13 or $14 as one of my daily rewards. So it's a lot of fun. I encourage you to play it, give it a try. If you don't like it, you've missed out on 30 minutes of your time.
Sure. I think Dusty did a good job explaining the game. And I know I've talked a little bit about it. I know, Jason, when you asked before, to me, it is the worst good digital card game, if that makes sense. Like, I think that Hearthstone and Hex are going to just crush it. Like, I think they're going to look at Soulforge and be like, ha, you're cute, get shit on, like, get out of here. Like, but I do think that if you have a tablet, then Soulforge is a great game. I think that's kind of the space they're shooting for. Because the game is kind of designed to get on there, play like 4 or 5 games, and then you're done for the day, like Dusty said. And doing that on the computer, you for sure can, but be able to do it on the tablet, like on your way to work, or maybe on your lunch break, or just right before you go to bed or something, is like the perfect kind of model for Soulforge. They say they're going to try to do like drafts and competitive play, and if they get those available, I think the game's going to increase and be a lot better. But currently at its state right now, it's too hard to get the cards. And it's too expensive to get the cards, which is my big problem. I dropped about $100 or whatever on Hearthstone the other night on my stream, maybe not even quite $100, and opened up almost 150 packs of cards. You know what I mean? And I actually got almost every card in the game. So that's very, very fun. Like that's kind of the perfect business model. And Hex is very close to the same thing. Hex has the same similar business model. I feel like Soulforge just went a little too ambitious with $15 packs and things like that are just very annoying to I guess have to deal with in a digital card game or whatever. Okay, Shay, thank you for making the Shaggy bus. That is awesome. I'll actually show it in the stream in a bit. And for my question, I'm not counting Hearthstone because I don't get keys. What was your question, Master Effect? Oh, but overall, what would you guys say is the best digital trading card game out right now?
That's available for play.
Yeah, that's available for play right now. I know you've played a lot of different games, haven't you, Charles? You've been playing a lot.
Yeah. I actually just hopped on one, and everybody can get into this. It is resetting. I actually was watching whose stream was I? Or I was watching this on YouTube. I forgot what his name is. I want to plug him because I want to support the other people in our community too. That's another thing. The other sites that are out there, I want to make sure that we're supporting them too. And I just forgot it, but I'll probably remember it later. Anyways, the game is called Card Hunter, and it's like Dungeons and Dragons, and your armor becomes the cards in your deck, and you use the decks. It's very much like D&D. It's a lot of fun for me. It's like 2D, 3/4 view graphics type of stuff, and you're moving your guys around and doing that. I also did play Soul Forge. I found it to be more of a light game for me. Like the other guys are saying, I feel like there is some depth there, but at the same time, I feel like there's more depth in other games in general. So I felt like it's more like a tablet game. It's nice because I can log in. I've built up my collection. I played completely for free. I feel like my deck is decent, but I know that I'll probably get stomped by anything that's at the highest rarity possible. The interesting thing I'm seeing actually for Soul Forge is that if you go on Reddit, there's a community that is doing tournaments for it, and they are saying only basically the commons and uncommons, which they name them something different, but those are the only cards allowed in your deck, and that's probably because those are the easiest ones to build up your collection. So if you want to play for free, you can easily play Soul Forge for free and play somewhat competitively and build up that common and uncommon deck type.
Okay, cool. Shawn, what do you guys think are the best digital TCGs out so far?
Well, I really haven't been playing too many. Like, the last one I really played was probably Scrolls, which I really enjoyed. But I cannot... I'm lost in this card right now.
Are you? Okay, I will go ahead and pop it up in stream because it is the coolest thing ever. The Mancubus. Look at this thing.
Do you want me to take it down?
Oh my!
No, I don't want you to take it down. It's the coolest thing ever. I want you to keep it up because it's awesome. I don't know why my thing is not showing
you
guys anymore, but
you can maximize your screen. Are you using XSplit?
I actually whose screen is it showing right now?
That's mine.
What am I showing yours? Blocking everyone else off. That's okay.
I stopped mine.
No, I do not want that ever taken down. That's the coolest thing in the whole fucking world.
Wow.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Hey, Shawn, what's your coolest TCG? Go ahead.
I don't know. I would probably go with Scrolls. I have not really been playing Hearthstone or Soul Forge.
You want some?
For all the other people that are not lucky enough, like Shaggy, to get into Hearthstone.
First of all, let me real quick. Shaggy, I'm sorry, is for sure not lucky enough to get into Hearthstone. My buddy Aaron was cool enough to get in and give me his beta key. Shaggy is not lucky enough to do anything, which is why Shaggy hates the fucking word random, because random just translates to get shit on Dusty over and over again. So, trust me, I am not, they'll send them to Afghanistan before they send them to Dusty. Trust me, I will never get a player of Hearthstone if it wasn't for my buddy hooking me up. Dusty, what do you think is the best WoW TCG? Or, I'm sorry, the best digital TCG.
out of all the WoW TCGs, which one's
there's actually two of them now, I guess, so there's actually a choice.
That sexy body's got you all startled.
Bro, I'm just you don't understand.
For me, I am personally most looking forward to Hex. Obviously, it's not out, but of current games, I had a lot of fun with Scrolls. I had a lot of fun with Soul Forge, and still am having fun. My biggest problem with Scrolls, or the problem was, again, they sell it as free to play, and I was, again, just losing to more powerful cards. So, I have no problem committing money to a game, but when you're telling me it's free to play, I want to have the same probability to win as my opponent. And, Scrolls, I didn't have as powerful cards, even as the computer. So, he would draw the better cards, play them. I think Scrolls is very unique. I think this is a great time to be a gamer, someone that loves card games, because
For sure.
I think Scrolls offers a lot of unique things. I think Soul Forge does. I haven't played Hearthstone, but it looks pretty unique. And then, of course, Hex. And that's a lot of competition, but who wins when there's competition? It's the consumer.
For sure, you're right.
It's us. So I'm enjoying a lot of everything.
Yeah. Okay. Like, Mike, you're right. If I made my bed, I'd probably get luckier. But I'll be honest with you, I don't see the point of making beds. Like, cause you just fucking destroy it again at the next night and just sleep. I hate making my bed. That's what girls are for. Okay, Shawn, you said okay. So my favorite digital card game right now is Hearthstone. It's by far my favorite, even though I know that it's just in beta. Like, not very many people get to actually play it. Blame it on the dog. You're right. It was actually perfectly made until he came in and just destroyed it. But yeah, I think Hearthstone's my favorite currently. I played it a lot in the stream, and I will continue to play it a lot, until Hex goes live. I think that Hex and Hearthstone are going to be the two games that kind of battle it out to be the best digital online card game. So I'm really curious to see how they react to each other. I know Cryptozoic and Blizzard have a pretty close relationship anyway, so I think it's pretty fitting that those would be the two companies that are kind of battling it out for dominance. But right now, I think Hearthstone is the best. If you can't play Hearthstone, I would suggest Soulforge. As much as I don't really like the game, I do think it's better than all the rest of the games. So Hearthstone, if you're lucky enough to get in the beta or have really cool friends like Aaron Volpert, and Soulforge if not. So do you guys have any more questions? Anything else we can answer for you guys?
I just want to make sure to plug Utopian Chaos is the ones they also do a lot of card reviews and stuff, and they're the ones that turn me on to Card Hunter. Just make sure I plug them.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and do my really quick rounds for you guys. I got switched over here real quick though. Cool, there's little Shaggy. Okay, please make sure you check out our Facebook page. Dusty does an amazing job of posting all of our new articles and all of our contests on the Facebook page. So if you haven't liked it yet, please do. You can check it out at HexTcgPro on Facebook. Again, Dusty is amazing and does such a good job keeping this Facebook in order. He does much better than what John Tata did. Also, if you have some free time, check out HexTcgPro.com. The best place in the whole world to go get your Hex information. I know we have Tata put his deck garage deck up, which we were going to talk about before he ditched us. And also, this video and all of our other videos will be up supposedly the next day, but it's really just whenever Tata gets around to it. Also, check out our YouTube channel at HexTcgPro YouTube. You can check out all of our latest videos, our Gen Con interviews with Corey and Dan, and a bunch of other cool stuff. And last but not least, if you go to my Twitch page, which you guys are all in, you can check out my schedule of all the stuff that I'll be streaming, and more importantly, Mr. Dusty and John's sponsored streams down here. Also, I did realize last week that I do not have Charles' sponsored stream on here, like Charles' actual stream, and I apologize, Charles. I actually completely forgot about putting yours on here, so I will have that on here today at some point. So you can.
Woo!
So if for some reason you get tired of looking at my sexy face, you can go click these guys and watch these noobs try to stream.
I take requests.
So, guys, I think that's all the shout-outs I have for you guys. I'm cool enough like that. Also, I want to thank you, Shade or whatever, for making this card. Like, you're awesome. I think this card's sick. It's the best card in the game right now. So,
Howard.
Sure, Dusty, do you have anything to close out on? Anything you want to say?
No, just thanks for watching. If you haven't already, we are running a contest right now. It was a little confusing. It was early in the morning when I typed it up. Basically, we're going to give away a random pack of sleeves to one of our followers, subscribers on YouTube. And then if you answer the question correctly, which isn't hard because there's a lot of correct answers, some incorrect based off the way I answered it. But we're going to take either version of it, whether it's Shawn or John. We will also tomorrow give away a random pack if you have commented to that thread there. So that should be the three posts down from the most recent. So that's it.
Cool. Shawn, do you have anything anybody to shout out? Anything to talk about? Anything to say?
No, actually not really.
Shawn's like, nah, I'm going to bed. See you later.
I'm done. Gotta go watch the Broncos game.
Oh, whatever. Pro football. Bunch of noobs, I say. Charles, tell me first of all, tell me how much better college football is than pro football.
Oh, yeah. So I do believe that college football is better than pro football. However, I don't follow football.
Okay, so one thing I heard was...
So my opinions are invalid.
Sure.
All right, you're kicked out of the guild.
All right,
oh, man!
Is he actually leaving? Because that would be really cool.
You lost him. All right.
Darn. Okay. Real quick before we go, though, we have one more question to answer. Jason, yes, I'm sorry I don't have a donation button still. I apologize. I promise that I will get that done tomorrow. I'm actually off work tomorrow, so I will get the donation button down tomorrow. Thank you so much for offering to donate. You are the coolest guy in the whole world. Like I say always, you have... Actually, never mind. Master, I'm going to ask your question. This will be the last question we take today. You damn right, go Mountaineers. Oh my god, this kid's so cool. Like, he made Shaggy Bus, his favorite college team is Mountaineers. Like, I can't handle this guy anymore. Like, anyway, Master Fett says, could you please explain the difference between Timmy, Johnny, and Spike? So if you guys want to tackle that really quick.
Timmy is basically a person that is going to be really excited about a big creature, not necessarily, or big cards with big effects. They aren't necessarily going to look at how playable those cards are. A Spike is going to be someone that doesn't care about the cost of a card or what it is. They'll just simply net deck stuff, or they'll look things up and they want to play the best deck possible. They'll let other people do the research, and they are just going to play the deck that they need. They look at the value of a card first. They are the most competitive players and some of the angriest people. I'm somewhat of a Spike. Anyways, so moving on. Johnny is the person that's going to do a lot of research. They're looking for combos, card interactions, and that type of thing. Now, just because there are these 3 different archetypes and you may fall into one, doesn't mean that you couldn't fall into multiple of them. So you might be a Spike person that has that likes to actually build decks. So you're kind of like a Johnny Spike. Or you might be a Timmy, like what's his name? Wu. Travis Wu is more of like a Timmy, but he's a competitive player who is like a Johnny Timmy. So he's going to look for the combo to actually get that huge effect to work, and that's why he's good at what he does. So those are the 3 archetypes in a nutshell.
Cool. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching. You guys have no idea how much you mean to all of us. It is so cool to be able to do this every Thursday and have you guys show up and ask questions and really take a lot from it. Thank you so much. You guys mean more than anything except the Shaggy Bus. Dusty, I'll let you guys all say goodbye in order. Dusty, you can go first.
Well, see you guys. See you next week.
See ya.
Charles, say something cool.
Check out my stream tomorrow, and yeah.
Yes, I promise.
Trying to rage too much.
I promise,
right?
Charles, I will have your stream link up on my thing. I'm so sorry I actually don't know how I forgot to do that. I will check my message, Jason. I promise. Actually, I actually did check your message while I was looking at the email, and that sounds fine. If you want to do that, yes, I will for sure do that for you, man. No problem at all. Just let me know like what you want me to do and what game you want me to play, and I will for sure play.
I will link the stream on Twitter.
Okay, yeah. I'll try to get all your guys I'll try to get all your guys' like Twitters and Twitch and stuff all together, Twitter, Twitchy, stream thing all together, so we can have all that for you guys. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. We'll have this up. I'll start uploading it now, and we'll have it up hopefully the first thing tomorrow. So thank you guys so much again for hanging out. I apologize for the lateness of the stream again. Hopefully by next Thursday we'll actually be able to get all the cameras up on time. So thank you guys so much again. Peace out.